Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah. First one. Not really. They don't count, though, because they're from the Rainbow Rising, the daycare. First teacher here. There's a cop sitting over there at the corner, and I totally rolled through the stop. Shh, don't tell him. But he tried to eyeball me. So be careful if you're driving over here by Beacon Park. Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to my teacher vlog. It is a new day, and I am determined to make this day better than yesterday. I'm gonna be a better teacher today. So today I have RTI in the morning, which is response to intervention, and then we have math, and then recess, and then language arts, and then social studies, and then lunch, and then science lab, and then they go home. So I got an interesting day today. Every day's interesting. I have my student teacher here today, and so I want to be a good teacher for her, good mentor teacher. So if you watched yesterday's vlog, you know that I had some big plans for the day, and it all just didn't happen. So at least it didn't turn out the way that I wanted to. So today's a new day, okay? RTI. So I have been using the language, the ELD book, English language, blah, 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 blah. I've been using the English language development section of our textbook to teach my RTI level. And I've only used it one time, but man, it was meaty and it was delicious and it was meaningful, and I felt like I was a really good teacher that day. So I'm going to do lesson 2. We have a field trip, as you know, to Riley's farm on Thursday, and we were going to go over an article about the gold rush. And if I have time, I'll go through that, but I want to go through these lessons that I've been doing with them because I think it's a really good thing. Hold on. Okay, so on a side note, I've been talking to Mrs. N about switching over our insurance from her work to my work, and we realized that we're going to save a lot of money by doing that. So I've been trying to go back and forth with our HR about exactly how much it's going to cost, and you know, this or that, when it's going to start, when, you know, because we want to time it so we're not double paying for too long. But we have really good insurance here. Good job, Irvine Unified. I'm going to show you this, okay? So this, it's driving me crazy, but these are my cabinets, all right? And I want them to be neater because I feel like they're too messy. What do you think? Okay, so I have these whiteboards right here, and behind them I have junk. So over here, this is that messy? This is too messy. Okay, so just some math some math manipulatives up here. I have, this is some PE stuff. I should show you this. This is really cool. This is a, you know, pool noodle that was cut into these little pieces, and you try to like bounce them on your hand. there's a bunch of lessons that you can do with this. This is all, the language arts program here. So I don't know that there's much I could do with that, but look at that. Like, that's all language arts right there. Do you think that's a lot of stuff? It's a lot of stuff. It takes up a lot of stuff and it's messy. Like, why couldn't they send it in a neater package? Okay, so I'm here with my student teacher and we're trying to plan out RTI really quick. Hey, we got 18 more minutes before school starts, so let me show you what we got going on here. Okay. So, there is another book for the kids to use, the Text for English Language Development book, and it has this thing. I give you 5 guesses if you can guess what this thing is. Go ahead in the comments below. What do you call this graphic organizer right here? Can you see it? It's got a circle, 4 squares. Because I've never heard of this thing before. But, okay, so we're going through adjectives and a specific kind of adjective. It's called a state of being adjective. And those are adjectives that tell what state a person is in. And it uses different forms of the word be. So if we were talking about me, it would say Mr. N is, and then the adjective is what I am. Excited. Mr. N is excited. So excited is the state of being adjective. That is what I'm going to teach my kids. And look at this thing right here. In the TE, it has what the objective is for the kids for this lesson. So, and the different levels of the ELD kid, which I'm not teaching, but it's so perfect for my level of RTI. So, emerging is, do the students understand what an adjective is? And then expanding, can students explain what an adjective is? And then bridging, somebody that's ready to go to the next level. Can students generate their own adjectives to describe characters? So we're going to go through a fun little lesson today, and I feel like this is going to be really successful. What do you think?
I think so too.
She thinks so too. Okay, so that is language arts for RTI. Next, math. Oh, I was going to get my, hold on, let me get my math. So I got sidetracked when I was looking for my math book, and I showed you guys my cabinets, and that's when Melanie showed up too. So I'm back. Got my math. You guys, we use Go Math, and I was not a big fan of this book when we first adopted it. But there are parts of it, probably like every textbook, that is really good. So, I'm in the really good part. All right, we just finished multi-step problems yesterday. I don't know that, like I told you yesterday, I don't know if it was all that great, but we're moving on. So the next one is multiple 2-digit numbers with regrouping. And as you know, as teachers, this could be a little challenging, but I feel like the lessons that led up to this were really good at laying down some contextual understanding of what they're going to be doing. So we're not going to just teach them to regroup. They're going to understand that the different place values, how the different place values are involved in this. So that is today's math lesson, and cross your fingers that this goes a little better than yesterday. It will. It will. Okay, in language arts, I had this epiphany when it came to writing, and thank you so much for the comments, Jen, the Lucy Calkins suggestion, and a bunch of you guys texted me yesterday, and so writing. I feel like I need to go back to basics. And so today, we are just going to practice, and this is such a good skill, right? We're going to just practice restating and answering. So have you ever heard of ACE writing, where you answer, cite, and extend, or RACE writing, where you restate, answer, cite, and extend? We're going to just focus on restating and answering a question. So today in language arts, we are going to restate and answer and just practice writing, restating and answer sentences. How you like that? See, I told you today's going to be a great day. Today's going to be a great day. And then, okay, they're in the middle of this social studies project that's pretty in-depth. And there's a lot of personalized learning going on. So it's self-paced. They go through this, it's laid out in a slide deck where they have all these different things that they're going to be going through. And so I'm going to let them continue on that. And so that's, there's not a lot of teaching going on in that one. Although, I feel like, hey, Melanie, we should do lesson 2 like we did lesson 1.
Oh, okay.
So we are gonna co-teach. So at UCI, they have this co-teaching model where the mentor teacher and the student teacher co-teach a lesson. And we tried it out with our last social studies lesson, and I thought it went pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I thought so.
Like, they were having so much fun. I took all those pictures, and the joy in their face, it was like charades, kind of. It was really cool. We'll do that with the second lesson. Not the same charade lesson, but we'll go through, we'll figure out what we're going to do for it. We'll teach that real quick, and then we'll let them go ahead and get going in their projects. And then they take off for science lab, so that's kind of the end of our day. It's going to be a good one. All right, school starts in about 12 minutes. We got a few more things to do, so I'm going to check in with you a little bit later. So long. Oh my gosh, I'm the greatest teacher on the planet. Just kidding, but I did have a great, where's Melanie? Come over here. So this is my student teacher. She's going to reflect also. We're going to use this time to reflect, and we're going to put it out there for all of YouTube to see.
Okay.
Okay, well, look at this. Thank you. What are these? What?
They're in Spanish.
How do you say it?
Guayabas.
Guayabas? I got some guayabas. What do those smell like to you? Some kind of fruit. Maybe a lemon and a lime stuck together. If you know what a guayabas is, write it in the comments below, okay? Okay, so this morning we had RTI, and for all of the problems I had yesterday, all of the problems I had yesterday, today I made up for it. Thank you, God. He made me a good teacher today. Let me walk you through my lesson, because it was fun. Okay, so we were learning about adjectives. Adjectives, not any kind of adjective. Today we learned about states of being adjectives. So a state of being adjective describes how a person looks or feels. Okay? And so I walked my kids through a review of what the lion and the gnat story, we described the lion with adjectives, we described the gnat with adjectives, and then I broke into what a state of being adjective is, and then I went around the room and made sure every single kid knew what a state of being adjective was. It described how a person looks or feels, and I guarantee you every single one of those guys knows what I'm talking about. Then we went down here and we went into these sentences, and I broke them down into subjects, verbs. State of being verbs are different tenses of the word be. So is, are, were, you get the point. And then the state of being adjective is just like the boy is tired, and tired would be the state of being adjective. So we went through those, and then after we were done with that, we read this article. It's on the California Gold Rush. And I went back into the first lesson, and the first lesson had these 5 W's. Who, what, where, when, why. Who, what, where, when, why. Who, what, where, why, when. Who, what, where, why, when. 5 W's. And we read this article, and we went through it, and we were looking for the who, what, where, when, and why. And so they went through, underlined, made a little number, and then we had a discussion about who, what, where, why, when. That was great review. Then in that lesson, it had us use this Freyer model. The Freyer model is these 4 squares with a circle in the middle. And what I had them do was they had to take this picture of the miner, gold miner, and they wrote gold miner in the middle, and then they wrote their who, what, where, why, whens over here. They drew a picture of the gold miner right here. They came up with sentences or synonyms for a gold miner. So they came up with prospector, fortune hunter, dreamer, and then over here they wrote sentences using this state of being adjective. Whoa! I felt like such a good teacher today. Like, these kids really got it. So, I'm happy today. How was your... Oh, so Miss Oda, she runs her own RTI group, and you guys didn't teach today, right? She just observed today. So what were you looking for in the lesson? So there's 3 student teachers. They all run one group, and they take turns running the whole class, and the other 2 kind of just observe. So what were you observing today?
We were observing one of the student teachers and her strategies for classroom management as well as engagement. Engagement,
classroom management. So key when you're student teaching. This is what you're working on when you're student teaching. Engagement, student teaching. Engagement and, what did you say? Engagement and classroom management. So we're not going to get into that right now because that's kind of between the 3 of them, but that's what she was looking for in her lesson today. After that, we went into a math lesson. And what did you think of the math lesson today?
Thought it was kind of tricky for them.
It was kind of tricky. So it was multiple digit with regrouping. So they've learned how to use like the distributive property and the partial product strategy for multiplication. And this kind of leads right into the standard algorithm for multiplying, because we still teach the standard algorithm because it's quick and efficient. But my whole thing is I want to make sure that they understand what they're doing. They're not just regrouping because they're putting the number on top of the other place value. Like I want them to know what those things are. So we'll do more practice with that because this is just 2-digit times a 1-digit. And for some of them, they've been working with the standard algorithm for years now. It's not anything new to them. But the other thing is, okay, so I gamified math facts to them. What do you think of that?
I thought it was fun.
It was ridiculous. So these kids are like so fired up to do timed math tests. I don't do timed math tests. So what I did was I found an online timed math fact website where it goes through 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and it times them, how long it takes them to do, I don't know, 20 of them? 20 questions, okay? It times them. And I made a table that has 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, and then one column is how fast they did it, and the second column is their score on these tests. And I said, you could take this as many times as you want. And then you just got to get the highest amount right and in the quickest amount of, quickest time possible. And then we're going to add up all your times, and whoever gets the fastest time through all of these math facts is going to be the winner. What was the first question, Miss Oda? What do you win? Of course, I didn't think this all the way through. It's kind of Mr. N style. I said, I don't know, but it's going to be great.
They didn't want to go to recess.
They didn't even want to go to recess. They were having so much fun. So they were going, after they finished the other lesson, it's so important for them to come into 4th grade having math fact fluency. They need to be able to multiply these numbers quickly in their head in order to be able to move on to multiple digit with regrouping. Like, it's so important for them not to have to think, what is 6 times 7? They have to be able to do that in their head quickly. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. If you're a 3rd grade teacher, please send them to 4th grade knowing their math facts. Okay, do whatever you have to do. So we're working on that today. After recess, we're going to do a writing lesson, and I'm going to use the race writing response method. So if they're doing a constructed response to a writing prompt, they can use this method and be successful with it. It's a good structure for any student to learn, a good strategy for them for writing. And so RACE stands for restate, answer the question, cite with evidence, and extend your answer. And so we're going to just concentrate on the R. The R and the A. Restate and answering. So I'm going to, this is the plan. And I think it's going to work because this is like, I want them all to have this skill. When they see a writing prompt, I want them to be able to restate and answer it right away. Like that could just be like a math fact. I want them to have writing prompt fluency. So they're going to restate and answer the question. That's all we're going to work on after recess today. Cross your fingers. I think it's going to go well. Any thoughts on that? I think they're going to get this. The hardest part is extending, I think. But so if they could restate and answer, at least they're part of the way there. So that's all we're going to work on. I'll let you know how that goes. And then we're going to move on to social studies, and we're going to co-teach a lesson on the Chinese Exclusionary Act.
Yep.
So we have to talk about how we're going to do that because we're going to co-teach this, and we're not quite sure what we're going to do yet. We'll let you know. Okay, we'll talk to you in a little bit. Thanks for hanging out with us. Okay, so we're back. It's lunchtime right now. We're going to reflect on our morning. So our morning's over now, and let's talk about what happened. After recess, we worked on writing. And so I introduced this whole race writing where you're restating, you're answering the question, you're citing evidence, and then you are extending or explaining, as they said in this thing. So I just grabbed this little thing off TPT. It was free, and that it kind of gave it kind of had a frame for the race writing. And then what I did was I put up a bunch of writing prompts on the board that I just Googled opinion writing prompts, and there was a couple of pages that just had a whole bunch of writing prompts. And I walked them through the process of answering and then restating the answer. And some of them got it, I felt like. Some of them didn't get it. But for the most part, I think it was a good first lesson on race writing. Thoughts?
I agree.
She agrees. Okay. So then what we did, we went into social studies, and we co-taught the third lesson. It was only 3 pages long. And I thought this was really a good lesson for you. Not for them. No, actually, it was good for them too. It was really just straight up reading the text whole class. So I don't know how you guys do whole class reading, but I like to just model it. So we went through each section and asked questions, modeled that for the kids during the read aloud. So we're reading this thing aloud, and then asking questions that come up in our head, to model that for the kids. I thought you did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
She did a great job. So she was stopping and picking up on things that the kids were saying and just working towards the understanding of this section of the book. And it was on Chinese immigrants and the Exclusionary Act, which is so not fair, by the way. Who was running the show back then, because it was so racist. So racist. What do you think? As 2 Asian people, we're talking about the Chinese Exclusionary Act. It was not cool, guys. It was so not cool. Anyways, that went pretty good. And then there's a bunch of quizzes for each section of this unit, and they had not taken any, and we were already on the third one. So we completed the third one, and then we just had them go back and start taking these quizzes. And it's so interesting because I let them use their book. I let them use this project that they've been working on. I even let them use internet sources to try to find the answers to these things. And they're like coming back with 5 out of 12. I'm like, I told you not to trust the internet. It's funny. But Google's a trustworthy site. It's funny, huh? So any observations from that part of the day?
I liked how in the beginning of our social studies lesson, you kind of went over the vocabulary, and even some that weren't in there that you knew was going to be important to the lesson, you kind of
Yeah,
made sure.
so I just skimmed through it and I kind of saw what was going on and then just jumped in from there. Vocabulary for social studies is pretty important because there's a lot of words that aren't everyday words for them. So, yeah, it was solid. It was a solid mid-morning. Morning was great. I'm looking forward to the next part of this this race writing for them. I think it's going to be more meaningful to them as they start putting together their answers for these writing prompts. So the rest of the day is pretty mellow for us. We'll do a lot of planning together because we have a pull-out for science lab. They go to a different science teacher for this lesson, and that's release time for us, and then so we get to reflect and plan during that time. So when they get back from lunch, we'll kind of just get ready to go home, and we'll go through our planner, we'll go through any work that needs to be done, and then I don't really give homework. Where are you guys at on homework? Like, leave me a comment below because I'd like to hear if you give homework. Are you going to give homework in your class?
I don't know. Probably.
She's not sure. So there's a lot of pressure. Like there's pressure from parents. There's pressure from the community at large. There's pressure from teammates. Like, are you going to give homework or not? And, you know, there's a lot of research that goes against giving homework. I'm sure there's research that goes for it too, but they have found no correlation between academic progress and success, and there's no link between that and homework. Why? Because probably most of the time it becomes a lot of just busy work for most students, and it's not really very enriching. It's just busy work. So parents are freaking out because they're like, my kid's not doing homework. They're just sitting there at home. So I always tell parents, just because I don't give homework doesn't mean they don't have to do homework. You still are the parent. You have every right to give them something to do or go tell them something, to do at home. I'm just not going to tell them what to do. So we have things that we work on at home, and I don't classify it as homework because I want that time to be spent doing something meaningful for them. So if that means spending time with their family and parents, then that's what it means. If it means working on something that they need to work on, like reading or math, then I want them to make that choice. I don't want to just give them work just to give it to them. I've been doing this for the last 4 years, and there's always resistance because the grade above me gives a lot of homework and the grade below me gives a lot of homework. So, when they come into 4th grade, they're like, what? And then when they get to 5th grade, they're like, what? Same word. What? But anyways, homework. We'll get ready to go home. They'll go to science lab. They'll be gone for an hour. They'll come back, and there'll be just enough time for us to do Champion of the Day and the 2 awards of honor that we give out. And I'll talk to you more about that another time because now it's time for lunch. Right?
Yep.
Okay. See you in a little bit.
1 hour later.
Okay, we're back. The end of the day here. And so we just walked the kids over to science lab, and right now we are just in desperate need right now.
A Starbucks.
Starbucks. So we're going to run and make a Starbucks run. Melanie did an incredible food web science lesson. I'm going to let her tell you about it right now.
So we had yarn, and we talked about how the food web comes from the sun, the energy from the sun. And somebody was grass because the sun creates grass. And then we talked about what animals eat grass. Someone said, oh, deer eat grass. So we had another student, okay, you hold the yarn and you be deer. And we had different students thinking of different insects, animals, plants that were produced by the sun or dependent on anything in the food web. And so they all made this big giant web of yarn. And then we talked about what happens when there's overfishing and all the fish go extinct. So whoever was a fish, he dropped his yarn. And anybody who felt that effect also had to drop the yarn. And it all kind of came crumbling down. Oh, and then
there was like this moment that every teacher is looking for. Every teacher, okay, so you're teachers. You know, you can relate to this, but she's a student teacher. She had this moment. Wait till you hear about this moment. This was the moment every teacher is just wishing for every single lesson.
someone was like, "Oh, Miss Ota, I noticed something. If one thing goes extinct, we all go extinct." And I was like, oh, yes!
Yes, I know. And it was from a really unexpected student, and she just raised her hand and she's like, "I noticed something." And like, she wasn't leading them to this at all. She was just like, "Okay, who felt their string move?" And then, "Sorry, you're out now, so you're not part of the food web anymore, because now all of a sudden the animal that was next to you is gone, so you're not going to exist anymore." So it was, and she just did it a few of them, and then it got to the point where one of the students just raised her hand and came to that realization, and I was like, wow, that was so incredible, so incredible. So it was a good moment. The end of this day was we introduced the Gold Dust or Bust play, and many of you guys have done these plays. They have a few of them. I forget what the name of the people that make them is called, but Gold Dust or Bust. It's a 4th grade Gold Rush play, and we gave out the scripts today and played one of the songs, so the kids are pretty excited about getting that going, and we're hoping that we can put this production together before school gets out for the winter break, but that's kind of pushing it, I think. We'll see. We're going to give it our best shot. All right. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Right, Melanie?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.